Hey everybody, welcome to the Mark Parham podcast. All you have to do is type in Mark Parham podcast, and I should pop up on Spotify. I've been seeing a lot of stuff with Baltimore recently, and some of the schools in Baltimore. And I know Baltimore is a city controlled by Democrats, but the Democrats in Baltimore are doing a horrible job, especially in some of the black communities out there. I mean, I saw something where they said that some of the kids can't even pass a standard test, a standard math test or reading test for their grade level or something like that. And I think that's horrible. It's horrible because a lot of these Democrats will sit up there and act like, oh, well, everything's okay, and we know how to educate young people, and you have to do this and do that. And these are the same people that, have been letting these schools get like this for years. I mean, it's not shocking to me or anybody who's, been to Baltimore or, keeps up with the news. These schools have been, I call them failure factories for a long time. And, for whatever reason, every single election cycle they vote in Democrat. And at this point, it amazes me that folks won't try something new. It's almost like they would rather suffer than let a Republican, win and try to change things around. It's to the point where the schools are at a crisis level. I mean, anytime you have entire schools that, you have a bunch of people that students that, aren't on par with, their school assignments and doing homework and reading and writing and just, basic things that you need in life to, get a good job. Anytime, you have probably thousands of young people that can't do those things at a decent level, it's very sad. And, some of the, some of the folks on the administration side, they get, six-figure salaries. I was looking at one guy that resigned. I think he was a part of the school system out there. He runs the school systems or something. But, he was getting, I think over $200,000. Another lady was getting around $100,000. And so you have people making a lot of money, but they're not seeing results. At least the parents, they're not seeing results. And, it happens every year. It's like every year, the stories come out, nothing is done. And the sad part about it, these same people they're probably Joe Biden supporters. They'll go to the voting booth and they'll let it keep on happening. And so the people in Baltimore have to decide, if they value their students, if they value their sons and daughters, if they value their education, they're going to have to just stand up and, like I said, vote for some new people, vote for new leadership, maybe vote for some Republicans or just people who want to do things a different way. Because having Democrats control that city for so many years, it's not doing any good. It almost reminds me of California. Like California will keep on, they'll complain about things, they'll talk about how expensive it is, the crime, the conditions, but in a heartbeat, if they held an election tomorrow, those same people would vote for another Democrat. And it's almost... It's insane. It's insanity, in my opinion. It's like I think it was Ronald Reagan when he was talking about how being a liberal is a mental disorder, or it's to that level. How people can keep on letting these Democrats control these cities, and you see all the crime, you see all of the destruction, you see stores, people stealing from stores, you see the school systems are going down the drain. You see the kids aren't being educated. Students don't even know how to read and write, and they will still go and vote for the same Democrats that are, keeping the problem going. It makes you wonder. And, it's the same in California. I mean, if you look at San Francisco has a huge problem with, homeless people being on the streets and drugs and crime. I mean, I'm looking on Twitter, and there was one guy talking about he was doing a photo shoot in San Francisco, and his stuff got stolen. And so again, it's just like you come from a different country, you say, oh, well, I'm going to go to America. It's picturesque. I want to see the parks and go to California. And, you get in that perspective of America, from looking at, so many Hollywood movies. And then you finally go there and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know it was going to look like this. I didn't know you're going to have people sleeping on sidewalks and stuff. And so it's very sad because there's been so many stories where people go down there to take pictures. California is a very beautiful state, but you might run the risk of getting your camera equipment stolen. And one guy was somebody was, I think, carjacked him or stole his car, and he's trying to hang from the side of his car while it's going down the street to stop the people from stealing his car, stop the person from stealing his car. The person just drove off with him hanging on the side of the car. And so it's a mess. And a lot of this is caused by Democrats. I mean, you can't, even if you're a person that doesn't care for the Republicans, you can't put this stuff on the Republicans with some of these cities. They're controlled by Democrats. People keep on going into the voting booth and just choosing the same, Democrats and liberal policies that are, creating more crime. I think even with the store thefts you're seeing, some of these liberal cities, I think it's a misdemeanor, whereas, somebody who's a Republican would say, you know what, maybe Johnny needs 10 years for retail theft. Or maybe we should sit up and have police officers, at some of these stores or malls and stuff like that. But again, you have people who say, well, we need to defund the police. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like either you want to fund the police or you want to look at police as the enemy. In my opinion, I think that some of these cities need to hire more cops. They need to have more people on the streets. They need to have more police officers in malls. Just in case something happens, people can respond. But we're in such a climate where the police officer is now considered the enemy of a lot of people. And you're seeing the results of what's going on. It's so brazen now. You look at some of these crimes and, theft and stuff like that, and it's on camera. And you'd think, well, maybe people would be scared. No, people aren't scared. People sit up and now you can hold the iPhone in the front of their face and they'll still go ahead and do it. And, it's amazing to me. It's amazing that you have a news media. The news media will not cover some of these stories. Like I learned more stuff about what's going on in the country from the internet, going on places like TikTok, going on Twitter. You hear about these stories, and the reason why is because, like I said, with some of these media organizations, if it doesn't fit a certain narrative, if it isn't like a George Floyd or a quote unquote racist officer beating a black person or something like that, they don't cover it. And so it's really sad what's going on. I've never seen, at least in the years I've been living in America, I've never seen it get to such a low level. I would say, well, I take that back, maybe around 9/11. 9/11 was very horrific, and that was a low point for America, but seems like bad stuff right now is happening every day. And again, we know how to fix these problems, but people in power don't want to fix these problems. They want to keep the border open. They want to keep people stealing and relying on government. In my opinion, and I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist like some people might say, but I think it's all a part of the plan. Keep the borders open, keep people stealing from stores, don't prosecute folks, and just make the living conditions in America as bad as you can make them. Keep people relying on government every year. And I guess the Democrats look at this as a way to keep themselves in power. And I think it's going to backfire. I think folks are tired of what's going on. They're tired of crime. They're tired of illegal immigrants flooding their city. You don't even know who some of these people are. They're tired of having to, deal with, a lot of these quality of life issues. And it's sad because you have a lot of politicians, they sit back, they see this stuff happening, and it's just like, oh well. That's almost like the attitude, like, oh well, you have to live there. But it's not gonna keep on continuing for long because, again, some of these problems are coming to the suburbs. Some of these problems with the migrants and some of these thefts and things like that, drugs, some of those problems that they just keep in the city, they're actually floating into the small towns. Some of those problems are floating into nice neighborhoods, and I guess that will wake the politicians up. I guess for that'll be the time when politicians say, okay, well, it's not happening in the urban black communities. Now we have to do something. And I think it's getting to that breaking point. It's going to be very interesting to see what it's going to do for future elections, because maybe America will get to a point where, if Republicans get back in power. It almost reminds me of, I'm almost thinking about, I know I'm rambling, but I'm thinking about, I think it was the election with Ronald Reagan versus Jimmy Carter, when basically Reagan just cleaned his clock, almost, was just winning different states left and right, states that people didn't think he was going to win. I think that might end up happening again. You might end up having a Republican revolution where you have states like New York and places like California vote for Republicans again, because America can't keep on going down this path of destruction. And the Democrats know that things aren't right. Like I said, some of these folks are over 50 years old. And so they've seen America when America was actually more productive and, in a better place. But like I said, it's it's not happening in my neighborhood. But like I said, it's going to backfire, and these problems are going to go everywhere. It's not going to be a situation where we can just keep these problems in the inner city. They're going to go to small towns, and it's happening now. I mean, you're having problems with drugs, you're having problems with illegal immigrants, you're having problems with theft happening in small towns that were normally peaceful. So I think people are slowly waking up. I know the black community is slowly waking up to, what the Democrats are trying to do. Because if you look at black folks, every time it's an election, what do? We run to the polls and we say, oh, well, I'm going to vote for a Democrat because that Trump is right now. It's just like, people are seeing that Trump is telling Trump is being honest, and he's telling the truth about a lot of things. We can't keep on letting people come across our border. We can't, have places where folks can steal. Like, we got to nip this stuff in the bud, because it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get worse. And I would tell anybody, keep yourself informed, because, if you rely on these mainstream media news organizations to tell you what's going on in America, it'll never happen. Keep yourself informed. Look online. Search yourself. Don't allow MSNBC and CNN to paint this rosy picture that jobs and stuff are coming back and Joe Biden's doing a great job. Those media companies are almost like a campaign. I would say a campaign. Trying to think of the word. Those organizations are almost, as they say, in the tank for any Democrat that's in power. I mean, they'll sit up and say, oh my God, the economy is coming back. I looked at a round table where they were like, the economy is coming back and things are improving. And if you go to these inner cities and stuff, people know that the cities and even some of these small towns, things aren't coming back, things aren't improving. So, again, please don't rely on mainstream MSNBC, CNN, media companies to tell you what's truth and what's not the truth. And every time they always talk about, the truth, and they'll say, oh, well, the Republicans are threatening democracy. These folks don't care about democracy and free speech. So, again, don't be fooled by that. I know I'm rambling, but I would like to say follow me on Spotify. Just type in Mark Parham Podcast. I'll be on Spotify. And you always hear me say on all my podcasts I do, if you see something wrong in America, speak up, make a YouTube video, let your voice be heard, and have a great day. Thank you.